We're back on the Early Edge on CBS Sports Network, and I'm joined again by Danny Brasco and Larry Hartstein. Gentlemen, we move from the 49ers to the Las Vegas Raiders. That's still kind of weird for me to say. The Las Vegas Raiders. Danny, I'm going to start with you because instead of just getting to their win total right away, even if you have sort of higher vibes on the Raiders because of some of their additions, new quarterback, new coach, all of those things, they are 15-1 to win the AFC West. And it's not because necessarily the Raiders are terrible. It's because the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs have high expectations. Do you think they are deserving to be fourth in the AFC West? And furthermore, at minus 250 to be fourth, do you even like that number at all?
Wow, that's steep, Sia, but I think they do deserve to be the last team odds-wise in this division. It's a deep AFC West this year. Everyone expects big things from Bo Nix in his second year. The Chargers look loaded up and playing that hard-nosed style of football. So the Raiders may do something very similar under Pete Carroll now drafting Ashton Genty. I think you're going to see a hard-nosed style football club that's looking to inject some life. I think the odds are appropriate, but I do expect big improvements and a culture change from Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly at offensive coordinator. This is a guy who has a kind of a lighthearted attitude. He's chewing the bubble gum, blowing bubbles on the sideline, but his teams play hard for him. And I think you're going to see that in Las Vegas this year.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it too. But Larry, it doesn't get them out of the cellar of the AFC West, does it?
Probably doesn't, but they do, in my opinion, get to 7 or 8 wins and are much improved. When you talk about the improvement at head coach and talk about going from Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew to Geno Smith, who is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league and loves playing in a dome, and you go from Alexander Madison and whoever else was carrying the ball to Ashton Genty. I mean, these are dramatic improvements, and these are the types of situations that Pete Carroll absolutely thrives in. When nothing is expected, he gets his teams to max out their ability. He's gone over his win total in 9. He's 9-4-1 over, in his last 14 seasons. So I'm definitely looking for an improved Raider team.
All right, Danny. So we think Pete Carroll is going to change the culture. Do you think Pete Carroll is going to change the culture enough? And we'll get to the actual win totals in a second. But to have, like, how much is that a level up? Like, I like Pete Carroll just as much as the next guy. I really do. I'm so glad he's back in the NFL. But should expectations for the Raiders change because Pete Carroll's the head coach, Danny?
I think they should change in terms of what you expect out of your team, how you expect them to play week in and week out. But I don't think he can add more than 2 to 3 wins to this squad. I ultimately see them as a ceiling, maybe a 7-10 team. 8-9 would be beyond expectations. But Larry said it. Carroll comes into these situations and turns cultures around. So I think they can do a lot of things with Genty. This team was dead last in rush yards in the NFL last year. You can't really start an NFL game if you can't run the ball. That's a tough ask. That is a major, major changing point that I think you'll see the tides turn on. Of course, Geno Smith addition and Chip Kelly running the offense there. He's supposed to be an offensive coordinator. He didn't do so great as a head coach. I think he thrives in that play calling role. And this is going to be a team that you can expect at least 2 more wins out of. They're tough under Antonio Pierce. They'll be smarter under Pete Carroll.
Well, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire now. Let's look at the betting number. It's 6.5 is the win total, but the over is minus 150 at BetMGM. Are you willing to pay that price, Danny Brasco?
Too much juice for me to lay that. It's too deep of a division here, so they're going to have to play the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs 2 times each. That's tough sledding. They could end up going 0-6 in that stretch. So I don't think I'll lay that, but I do expect this team to finish 6-11, 7-10, right on that edge, Sia.
Larry, what say you about the 6.5?
I would only bet over here, and the market agrees the way this number has been moving. They were so unlucky last year. Guys, the second most injuries behind the San Francisco 49ers. And how about this? They only recovered 6 of 28 fumbles. According to the analytics guru, Cleve TA, that is the worst rate in the last 10 years among all 320 teams that have been tracked, and the worst by a wide margin. So they were extremely unlucky. They've made so much improvements. And one fact about Geno Smith is that he's been awesome in a dome in his career, and now he gets to play every single game, every single home game indoors.
Very interesting. And we saw at BetMGM, that line has shifted to 7.5. It looked like very much plus money on the over there, as opposed to the minus 150 was plus 130, maybe minus 125 on the under, I thought I saw there. Okay, Geno Smith, Larry, let's talk about him. It is a big improvement, according to you and according to most people, off of Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. With that said, his touchdown total, Larry, is 20, or 20.5, I should say. The over is even money. Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely leaning over. I mean, he's indoors. He's got Brock Bowers. He's got Jacoby Myers. He's got a good offensive scheme, and he has some semblance of a running game, even though I don't think it's the 1950s where you have to come out and establish the run. But yeah, I see a lot of good things for Geno Smith, especially because this defense is not very good. Losing Christian Wilkins, he is going to have to put up big, big numbers to keep the Raiders in a lot of these ball games.
Yeah, a good point about Christian Wilkins. And obviously they lost a defensive back the other day as well. Your thoughts, Danny Brasco, 20.5 even money.
Got to agree with Larry. I love the Dome Stadium argument. I do think this will be a run-heavy team, like I mentioned before. Don't be surprised if G&T gets 25 touches a game right away. They added Raheem Mostert. Maybe Trey Tucker gets some jet sweeps back there, switch it up a little bit. But Dome Stadium, great argument for Geno Smith. Defense, it might have to be shootouts for them to win games. So I totally agree with leaning towards the over.
A side note, we are Raheem Mostert days away from NFL kickoff. Of course, that's 31. Let's talk about our favorite season-long Raiders player props. Danny, I start with you.
Got to be G&T, man. I got to take something G&T. They're talking about how they can't get this guy out of the film room, how he's so hungry to get better, that they see so many great things out of him, but all he wants is to improve. And I love the attitude. I love what I'm hearing about him. So I'm going to go over 7.5 touchdowns this season. I absolutely think he gets the carry share and the volume to get there. They're going to punch it in at the 1 yard line 8 times. No problem.
Larry, we're going to go from the running game to the receiving game. And I will say this, I do have questions. I still have questions about Geno Smith and how he's going to succeed this season. I have questions about the receivers. I don't have questions about the tight ends. Talk to me about Brock Bowers.
What he did last year was so incredible, racking up nearly 1,200 yards from, catching passes from Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Aiden O'Connell was the most inaccurate quarterback, one of the most inaccurate in the entire league, and Geno Smith knows where to put the ball. So Brock Bowers sitting there at 1,500 receiving yards, definitely going over on him. And I don't know if he'll catch 112 balls again, but the passes are going to be in much better spots, and he's going to be able to get more yards after the catch. So he may only need, 95 to 100 to eclipse this number.
Let me ask you both a question to wrap this up, and it's more of an AFC West question. We don't think the Raiders are going to be involved in actually contending for the AFC West, but we do think I think it's a 3-team race. Kansas City deserving favorites. Larry, if you had to call between the Chargers and the Broncos, one team to actually eclipse the Chiefs, who was the better team to potentially get that done? In my opinion, it's the Denver Broncos. What say you between the Chargers and the Broncos?
No question, it's the Broncos. Could have the best defense in the NFL. I love what they've done. And to me, they're a much more complete roster than the Chargers.
Danny?
Defense is the reason that I agree with that. I'm high on the Chargers this season. I think that Jim Harbaugh-style ground and pound football, drafting Omarion Hampton, is going to work really well. They're going to pound teams into submission. But Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain might be the best cornerback duo in the league. And if they're shutting teams down, you can't win if you can't score points. So I agree. It's the Broncos at number 2.